those who don't know, what is emotional intelligence? Take us through a little bit about it.
Oh my goodness. It is the ability to be able to use, manage, understand your emotions in a healthy manner.
There I was, an upcoming HR professional. I was flying high, scoring. I was even deemed the best HR of the year.
Guys, I'm so happy to be here. We addressed some hard things.
He ate my bread, you guys. He ate my bread. That's probably not how we should start this conversation today, but that's how we're going to start it. Husband came home for lunch and I heated up some bread. And he took my bread and ate the bread. Like, ate the bread. And there's a running joke that I have between my mom and I and the husband. We have a running joke that we don't like bread in this house, but we like bread. We don't like bread, but we will fight you for bread. Is that you? Like, you guys have something like that going on in your family? So I always say we don't buy bread, but we eat bread. That don't make any sense, right? I know. So, and the bread was nice and warm, and had a little crunchy on the outside. It was good. It was really good. It was really good. I started to eat some, and then now I don't have any. I was a little mad. I was a little mad. So, anyways, well, welcome you guys. Welcome to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. So this conversation today, the title of it, as you can see, it says, please stop doing more. Please stop doing more. I have my other YouTube video thing going on here. Let me cut this one off altogether. So yeah, it says, please stop doing more. Doing more doesn't always mean growing. Doing more doesn't always mean that you're growing. So, what is it that you're doing that you may not be doing, that you should be, instead of doing, you should be becoming? So, it's not about doing more. It's not about hustle. That hustle culture. It's about, I used to have this manager, and every time she said the word hustle, I cringe. I told her, I don't like that word. Don't like it. It's about the heart behind the hustle, I would say. The heart behind the hustle. When you raise your emotional intelligence, you don't just add more to your plate. You learn how to nourish and nourish what truly matters. Does that make sense? Doing more often becomes, how would I say it? A coping mechanism. A way for you to kind of hide and stay busy so that you don't have to face yourself or face those deeper, hard questions about yourself. For example, am I happy? Do I find joy out of doing this job? Do I love Monday come around and I just can't wait to get in there and just dive into all the interactions and the projects and the team and what I do and the tasks. Like, is this aligned with my purpose? Is this aligned with my values? Is this company aligned with my purpose or values? What am I doing or avoiding emotionally? Is that it could be a front for that, right? Doing more can be a front for you avoiding, right? So I have this thing, and I noticed that my mom, we do kind of like the same thing. When we have a lot on our mind, and maybe it is a few other members of my family, but I noticed that when we have a lot on our mind, we tend to start like cleaning. We clean. Is that you? What do you do when you have a lot going on in your mind, or you have a lot to think about? What do you do? You know, everybody does something different. You got to notice that about yourself. I noticed that about my mom. I noticed that about myself. And we start cleaning. So when I see that I'm cleaning something that don't need to be cleaned, I clean something that don't need to be cleaned. That's already been cleaned. That triggers me that, oh, I'm just worried about this. So I'm thinking about this, right? And sometimes burnout doesn't always, it's not always caused by you having so much to do and you're overloaded. Sometimes it's often caused by simply misalignment, right? When your calendar is full, but your soul, your being is empty, that's misalignment. When you're excellent in checking off all of those boxes and things that you got to do. I love a list. I love a list so I can check off things. I love making lists so I can check things off, and I can't wait to check things off. But you haven't really checked in with yourself. That's one of my tools that I have for the people that I work with, the customers that I work with, is check in with themselves. Like, really check in. You wake up, you open your eyes, you give thanks, you start going through that list of gratitude and the things that you are grateful for and the things that you can't wait to get or experience. And then, how are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? Leaning into that, right? I think that's in my opinion, that's a tool that doesn't always get a lot of popularity. And that's a tool that I use daily. Okay? So I recommend that you do that. There's more to that, but that's a really good start. Okay? That's a really good start. So emotional intelligence, this one of the stories today that I'm gonna kind of, we're talking about these workplace stories that aligns, that coincides with emotional intelligence, and how when you start leading from who you are, when you start being more self-aware, more empathetic, more managing or in control of you and your emotions, then you start creating a happier, more not hustle culture. Emotional intelligence invites you to pause, to name that discomfort, to ask, am I operating from purpose or am I operating from pressure? Sometimes the most courageous thing that we can do is nothing. But we can be more intentional. We can be more focused, and that's different for everyone. So you got to figure out, what does that look like for you? So this conversation today, this story, my mini story. So I went about a couple months ago, and I went and I spoke at this organization. They invited me to speak to their middle managers, and you know, in work in speaking with them, the follow up was, a few of them, the CEO actually wanted some of their middle managers to go through a workshop, right? And emotional intelligence workshop. And in doing that, had to work very closely with the HR person. So we became very good conversations. We connected really well on what the expectation was for the team and what they needed. And in doing that, I created this space, or she got so comfortable, connecting and interacting with me with what we were planning on doing for her, the operations team, her middle managers, so much so that she started to realize that he needed some help, right? So, as a high performing HR manager, in such a moving industry, which is healthcare, from the outside, she looked like a superhero. She was polished. She was on point. Yeah, I don't know if you know about, HR people in your life, but almost every HR person that I know, they are go-getters, and they are kind of like perfectionists, right? And I say that because your girl right here, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm taking that from one of my speakers that was on my podcast, Jacqueline, I think. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And she looked really good. She presented really well, but she volunteered for the issues became, or it started to, the unraveling of her was she volunteered for almost everything. She led all of the leadership meetings, the executive meetings. She stayed late. She replied to every email as quickly as possible. She did more than everyone else around her, including her team, right? But under the surface, she was coming undue. Unfortunately, she was coming undue, and she did not realize it, as she was organizing for her executives. I mean, these middle managers, this EQ workshop that I was going to do, that I saw her in action, with her team, and how she, flowed throughout the day. She was very curt with her team. She was short with them. She was anxious in meetings. She was constantly exhausted. When her supervisor, finally realized, it was time. And I mentioned a thing, or a question. We were going through all the stuff that we were going to be doing for the middle managers. And when I work with teams, I like to ask a lot of questions. And one of the questions that I asked is what she focused on, and what she which got her stuck, which she loved, right? Was, I asked them, who in your past are you becoming every day? She saw that, and she quickly went to the very first manager that she ever saw, an HR director. And she saw, she started, crying, and I asked her, is everything okay? And she started to tell me, based on this question that she saw, what she experienced, right? And she saw the HR person doing the most, right? And because she saw that HR person when that HR person was in public with everyone and how polished she was, and then she saw that HR person behind closed doors and how she wasn't leading from who she was. And she instantly remembered a moment, a conversation that she had with that person, because she was a specialist, a coordinator at the time, starting out. And it's really funny how you are becoming something or someone in your own life from your past, and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it, right? And that's what that's what it was for her. She didn't realize it until that moment when I was talking to her. So that's my question for you. You can hustle or grind your way out of healing. Let me say that again. You cannot hustle or grind your way out of healing. You can't fix your misalignment or your exhaustion by adding more on your plate. Please stop doing it. Please stop doing it. Okay? Stop doing it. You can't hustle your way into healing. You can't do it. Stop doing it. So that's what I wanted to say today. That's what I wanted to come in and add. You can't fix burnout by adding more to your plate. So stop adding more to your plate. You become a better person when you slow down, when you check in with yourself, when you start leading from who you are and your values. Please stop doing more. Maybe you just need to become better. And becoming better starts inside out, right? Not outside in, right? And I mentioned earlier that that joke that husband and I and my mom have with bread. That joke came about because I was arguing with mom and telling her we need to stop eating bread. Being honest with you guys, because I told the husband, you need to stop eating bread or rice, this and that, right? And then slowly my mom like for example, we talk about that, her and I talked about it one day when we went shopping. We were in Publix, and I was and I she picked up some bread, and I'm like, we need to stop eating bread. And so we didn't get the bread. But then think about it, 2 or 3 months later, a couple weeks later, I'm in the same store and I picked up bread. And then my mom says, I thought we weren't eating bread. So you gotta decide, do you need to eat more bread? Or do you need to maybe slow down on eating bread? Not wipe bread out of your life, which is what I was doing. I was wiping bread out of my life with one stop. Right? No, I had to slow down on eating bread. Maybe not have bread on a weekly, daily basis, right? Maybe only have bread once a week. And I realized that, which is why I started this conversation. I said today was that day that I was having bread. And my husband took my bread. So maybe you need to simply become a better version of yourself and not continue to add things to your plate, right? So if you do more, you think that if you just keep doing more, you'll get ahead. But in reality, if you keep doing more, it slows you down because you keep adding more to your plate. So that means your plate and your back and all that your you guys know that song by Bag Lady. You keep on adding stuff on your back. What do you think happens? You start to slow down. Right? But your growth in leadership doesn't come from tasks. It doesn't come from just doing. It comes from transformation, and transformation happens when you actually, your task build output, meaning what you're doing, you can see the results. And whatever it is that you're doing, the results that you're getting is making you, super happy, and you love the results that you're getting. But after you've done it, you can't enjoy all that work you just put in, because you just cannot get out of your own way with, yeah, but I feel depleted. How many people did you have to step on to do that? How many relationships did you break up because you wanted to accomplish this one goal? You had to step on a lot of heads. You had to slap a lot of faces. You had to lie. You had to, who it is that you became while you were hustling for this or that. Right? So it comes back to stop adding more and doing more when you simply need to become better. Right? Task transformation builds influence. You need to transform pretty much how you are moving. And that starts with you asking yourself key questions, so that it can provoke real growth. Because honestly, when you stop chasing the check boxes and checking things off your list, you start to be, and start checking in with yourself. You start being yourself. You start being more authentic, right? You start removing yourself from spaces that don't support you, right? You start being more purposeful. You start following your definiteness of purpose, as Napoleon Hill calls it, right? So you might think, for example, that running another training will fix things, will fix the engagement, the morale. Let's just have somebody come in and do a training. No. Unless that leader becomes better at listening, at holding spaces, at modeling emotional intelligence, which is vulnerability, which is self-awareness, which is empathy, then no number of workshops that you bring in or do will change your culture. Nothing will change it, because there's a root cause. No matter how many, you can't. My friend Kendra, Dr. Kendra, would say you can't put lipstick on a pig and present it and think that this is what you were looking for. It's still a pig. You actually have to, dig up what's going on inside the organization, because when you bring in somebody to speak, you got to make sure it's like having an icing on the cake, but there's no cake. You got to be able to dig deeper and figure out what are the issues that are causing the morale to be down. If it's the leadership, then we need to have trainings with that leader and see their rationale and dig deeper into their emotional intelligence and their triggers, and why are they screaming at people, and why are they constantly slamming their door, and why are they sending emails in all caps. All of these things, this is what managers are out here doing, and expecting employees to be like, yes sir, no sir, yes sir ma'am, yes ma'am, no ma'am. They will do it, but it's not going to be for long. They will do it, my friend, but it's not going to be for long. So that's what I'm here to tell you. Stop doing more and be a better version of yourself. Be a better version of yourself. And that, my friend, starts with you actually, let's go back to that quote that I always talk about from Mahatma Gandhi, right? Mahatma Gandhi said a quote. He said that your beliefs become your thoughts. And this is what emotional intelligence does really well. It figures out what are your beliefs, because your beliefs are the ones that are actually running your leadership, right? And maybe some of those beliefs, not that they're wrong, maybe we just need to autocorrect some of them. Maybe we just need to autocorrect some of them, right? And I was listening today to Ken Honda, and some of the questions, or one of the questions was exactly that, and he was talking about how your beliefs, where do your beliefs come from? And they, there are a few places, just to name a few. It comes from your parents, your grandparents. It comes from your relatives, from your ancestors. It comes from the previous workplaces that you were at, that boss, that peer that told you that you were going to become nothing, or that you can only do this because you're not good at that. It comes from, customs, from, religious thinking. It comes from cultures that you were exposed to. It comes from the current times, society. It comes from your friends, and what that teacher, and what she said, and what he didn't say, and how you felt left out. It comes from your race, the biology of it all, and it comes from so many different places. So what beliefs are you carrying around in your head, right? Because your beliefs become your thoughts, and then your thoughts become your words, because what you believe is what you will think, and what you think is what you will say, and what you will say becomes what you will do, and what you will do becomes your habits, and your habits are your destiny, right? They are your destiny. Those are your habits. Your habits are your values are your destiny, and that's who you are, right? So my questions, here are some questions to help you go in a better direction. And again, I always say that I like to leave you guys with questions and thought-provoking questions, because I don't want to just tell you, right? You have to critically think for yourself. I want you to critically think. So when I work with leaders in the organization, and I start with questions. And when I have to sit down and do a training with that one-on-one with that manager, with that executive, with that director, I'm not saying, here's this is what you have to do because you're wrong and I'm right. No. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be told that they're wrong. I mean, I don't. Do you? I would like to know. Let me know in the comments, or if you like to be told, what to do, or that you're wrong. So what happens is that you have to, they said you have to lead them, lead the horse to drink the water. And I simply lead them by asking questions. I say, what do you think about that? And then they slowly unravel and tell me what they think. So where in your life are you doing more but becoming less? You're doing so much, but when you're done doing that task, you feel like crap. So you have to sit down. You have to sit with this. You have to sit with this. You can't just off the spin. You have to sit with this. Sit down one day, just go for a walk, go to the park, go to the beach, spend some time with yourself. And you have put all the kids to bed and there's quietness in the house. Give yourself 10-15 minutes and ask yourself these questions and journal about it. Write it down, right? And then start seeing the trends, right? Another question is, what's one area of your emotional life you're being invited to grow in? What is that one area? Yeah. Remember, we said that emotions are energies in motion. So that means that you have, when you get emotional about something, like emotions are a bunch of emotions, right? We go through a bunch of emotions throughout the day. If you're sad, if you're happy, if you're scared, if you're angry, if you're whatever that is, but if you're frustrated, those are emotions, right? So that emotion, you know, if you take away the E from the word emotion, you get motion, right? So that's in Latin, it's emotere, and that's energy in motion. So it's, you have that energy that comes with that emotion. It's telling you to move. Meaning you have to do something with that emotion, right? So what do you have? What do you do? What do you do to help decrease your stress? Drinking, not very healthy, right? Do healthy things, right? Sometimes some people, they, you know, do you need to make sure you have 8 hours of sleep? Do you need to get a massage once a month, right? Because it helps de-stress you. It helps you be more a better person, right? So that way you're not snapping at people all the time, right? What is it that you have to do to make sure that you're showing up as your best self? Who is it that you have to remove yourself from around, right? Not because you're avoiding the truth of what they are presenting, but because they are actually being toxic towards you, right? Because there's a difference. And then the last question is, who suffers most when you stay busy instead of becoming better? Who is suffering? Who are those people around you? Is it you? Right? Is it you? Because if it's you, then it behooves you. It behooves you to do something about it. Do something about it. Okay? And that's our conversation today. We went 2 minutes over, but I do believe this was important. And this was a conversation that was very much needed. And I wanted to make sure that I come in here and share with you guys. So thank you guys for listening. As today was, please stop doing more and become better. And what does that better looks like for you? Right? What does that better looks like for you? And I want all of those better for you, whatever that looks like. And this have been a glimpse of growth with Dr. Dale. I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you guys next week for another conversation. And thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe for more.
Thank you for being here and supporting this channel. If you enjoyed this episode and this content, it would mean a lot to me if you would take a few seconds to ensure you are subscribed to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Click the notification bell to receive notification. Share it with someone you think may need it. And let's continue to become more intelligent with our emotions. Thank you. See you later.